Hi friends, welcome to Invited Back podcast with Sabbath Kapahu. Today I want to talk about something that has been a part of my journey for a long time. It's not something that I think about often, but I am influenced by it daily. If you can finish the following phrase, then I think it's safe to say that this might be affecting you too. Here's the phrase. Early is on time, and on time is, yes, late. Did you fill in the blank? Then this episode is for you. Last week I talked about a book that I had read, and I have finished it since then. A really great book about parenting. The author is Carla Namburg, Naumburg. Last week I talked about how noticing is your power play in keeping calm with your kids. Today I want to talk about the idea you are not as late as you think. Let me repeat that. You can repeat it with me if you want. You are not as late as you think. Now, especially for the mamas, I think this is going to hit home because it definitely does for me. You know the feeling. You're supposed to be at the school drop-off by a certain time, and you're watching that clock, and your kids are dragging along in their morning routine. This is a really big trigger for me. So thankfully, I had some grace this year because my kids have been distance learning, and it has been such a gift to have the morning routine that we've gotten to have for this school year. But I know the reality of that tension and the tension of being late, and it's not just in motherhood. I learned that phrase that I mentioned earlier back in high school through a leadership development course that in the church that I was going through, and it was ingrained in me. Early is on time, and on time is late. And I think there's a season where if I had no concept of time, of course I would need to learn it. But I have to be honest and say that that idea has done some damage to me as I've gotten older, because I didn't take time to process through the reality that changes with different seasons of life. And especially, I would say, in motherhood. But even when you first get married, you're learning to do life with a whole nother human being. In everything that you do, the way that you live, the routines that you've had for day in and day out as a single person change when you add another human into the mix. And this happens in community as well. When you start to really share life with people, when you have to sit down and listen to their conversations, listen to their words, and respond with care and intentionality, that shifts what you're doing for the day. And sometimes when I'm not careful, I'll give priority to the things that don't matter as much, and then I get triggered because I still have to do the things that mattered the most, but now I have less time to do them. And so this is where I repeat the phrase to myself. Sab, you're not as late as you think. When I learned to track my time and to be realistic about what I could do with the time that I was given in the day, this became a little less triggering. And I began to sit in that reality. Sab, you're not as late as you think. Now here's the thing. Maybe you're just a person that is going to be late. Own it. Own it. And don't let it trigger you to words or actions that you don't actually want to say or do. And for the mamas that are still walking through this guilt, this unknown mantra that we've been living our lives with throughout high school, throughout college, throughout your young adult life, as you moved into marriage and as you moved into motherhood, there's this underlying pressure to meet the deadline. There's an underlying pressure to be right on time. Give yourself grace. Let go of that unnecessary guilt and embrace the reality that, hey, you're not as late as you think. Take a deep breath. Get realistic about what's happening in the moment and do the one next thing that is in front of you. And once that is done, do the next thing. And eventually you're going to get there. And you're going to get there in the time that only you can. And it's okay. So friends, my quick encouragement for us this week, for our mom hearts, for our wife responsibilities and roles, as friends, as community members, as leaders, give yourself grace and repeat after me. You're not as late as you think. Until next time, aloha.